Aloha, everyone. Welcome back to the negotiation table. My name is Wincy Hong, your host and communication specialist here at HGEA. And with us today, we have our very own executive director, Randy Pereira. Aloha.
Hello.
Hello, welcome back. Before we dive into this month's conversation, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Okay, so let's dive in. The Hawaii State Legislature will open its 2025 session on Wednesday, January 15. And once again, HGA has an ambitious set of priorities we want lawmakers to address. We've asked Randy to give us a breakdown of the bills we hope to pass and the issues we're asking lawmakers to prioritize. So, Randy, we launched our awareness campaign this past summer to bring attention to the growing vacancy crisis in state and county government. This is a multi-layered problem involving everything from a cumbersome hiring process to benefits that don't keep up with what the private sector offers. What are we hoping lawmakers do to address this problem this year?
Well, it's going to be a very interesting legislative session, largely because, as the term I use would be distractions. There are a number of issues that are going to be grabbing the attention of legislators. And one of our concerns then is, as a result, as they grapple with things like the condo insurance crisis, home housing and homelessness issues, and of course now notably fireworks. The question of whether or not they will continue to pay attention to some of the HR issues, like the vacancy count in state government, would be a big question for us. We're looking to see what kind of package of bills that the state human resources people would put forth. Much of the change, though, that is necessary would not require legislative action. Really, they're administrative changes. So for us, structurally, we would look to make sure that the legislature is prepared to invest in the workforce and fund wage increases, whereas you note our wages are way below private sector. And we also have an initiative once again regarding the EUTF, the medical plan, that we're hoping the legislature would give favorable consideration to because, again, in a direct comparison with the private sector, those of us in government just don't see the same benefits from the health plan, and our members pay a significantly higher portion of premiums than folks in the private sector.
Right. And along the lines of employee benefits, we'll be pushing a bill that addresses contributions to employee union health benefits. Our members have long been concerned with the cost of healthcare. So can you tell us what this bill would do?
When the law was changed in 2000 to create the EUTF as we know it, the law prohibited unions from either striking or taking to final arbitration the issue of the split of healthcare premiums. So we have long operated where the employer pays 60% and the employee 40% of his or her premiums. Meanwhile, in the private sector, thanks to the Prepaid Healthcare Act, most employees in the private sector enjoy a better medical plan and pay a minimal amount of their salary toward the cost of the premium. What we're trying to achieve again this session, and we have tried several times before, is to make it where, as we attempt to negotiate that split in the premiums, that if there is no agreement, that issue can be taken before an arbitrator. Or for those unions that have the right to strike, that they be allowed to strike over the issue. We think that would then level the playing field and create greater opportunity for us to make changes and leverage the employer. And sometimes, frankly, it's going to come down to trading perhaps some salary for an increased share in the medical plan. But right now, we're pretty much locked out, and it's kind of a take it or leave it system where you have no recourse. Once the employer makes an offer, you're pretty much stuck having to accept it. And that's what we're trying to change by allowing it to go to arbitration.
I see. The number of exempt employees has been growing in government for quite some time. We're introducing a bill that would add protections for these at-will employees. Can you talk a bit about that?
Sure. For old people like me that can remember, exempt employment was created many, many years ago, and my first recollection of someone that they recruited as exempt was the individual that they were recruiting to run the H power plant. Because at the time, that technology was new to Hawaii, and there was nobody in the state that had that expertise. So you then had to recruit for somebody with that unique skill and experience and pay quite well, because those individuals were far and few in between. So exempt employment rather, was really a means for the employers to address unique and specialized work. That's all changed. Today, the employers are looking more and more at exempt employment because it bypasses the civil service system, and it bypasses the delays that they face in trying to recruit and get eligible lists for positions. So it's really become more of a, as I said, a bypass mechanism, and it's more now the way that they go because it's faster to hire people exempt. We certainly take exception to that because it should not be where you're having to bypass the civil service. The civil service exists for a reason. And at the same time, we also feel that employees should be entitled to just cause. And that's not something that's afforded to exempt employees. We are also concerned because exempt employment is a way for the employer to pay better. And it's our position really that employees, whether they be in the civil service or exempt, should be treated equally. And that would mean given just cause and all compensated in a better way. What we're seeking is to try to create a more level playing field for the exempt employees by granting just cause to them, meaning that when they are hired, they are subject to just cause and cannot be fired on a whim, so they would no longer be at will. That's the primary change that we're seeking. But at the same time, this is all part of that bigger picture of recruitment where we're hoping that state government would come around to boost the pay of the civil service, improve its recruitment process, upgrade its standards, and basically give people a greater opportunity to earn a living wage.
We are entering a negotiation year. While lawmakers aren't directly involved in that process, they will need to help fund our contracts. Can you talk about what we will be doing on the negotiation front?
Well, each bargaining unit is a little bit different, and this is the first time actually that we're dealing with a governor who is offering something better than zero, which is, I haven't seen this in well over 20 years. So we're hoping that we'll be able to have meaningful conversation with the governor and his team and reach agreements, if possible, during the legislative session. And then, of course, we'll be looking to legislators to fund those increases, whatever happens to be negotiated. We're very hopeful, and for the legislature, there's a lot of talk about what the state of the budget will be. This will be the first year now where we will see reduced tax revenue because the reduced withholding, thanks to the tax cuts that the legislature passed last year. But we're still counting on them to invest in the workforce and make sure that whatever is negotiated is funded so that employees can see an improvement in their standard of living.
Speaking of the tax cuts, one of the big questions of this upcoming session is how the state will make up for the loss in revenue following the legislature's massive tax cuts last year. What implications do you foresee this having on civil servant jobs and services to the public?
At this point, it's a little bit too early to tell. For all of us, with our first paycheck in January, we will see reduced withholding of taxes for state taxes. And it remains to be seen what the actual impact. Probably we would have a better sense of things in March or April when the first Council on Revenue's report is generated as to the revenue picture and how the tax cuts have played in. But even then, this year the tax cuts they're being phased in. So this year we'll see the beginning of it, but in the coming years, 2-3 years from now, the impact would be far greater. So we're concerned that the revenue picture will be sufficient enough to ensure that government is adequately funded. we're concerned about whether or not there will be cutbacks as time goes if the revenue does not come in the way that it's projected. Because keep in mind, tax revenue is one thing, but certainly visitor revenue coming from the general excise tax in particular, where people have come here for vacations. We're still strong in that area, but of course, we continue to lag in terms of the numbers that people coming from the Far East. And that's a concern. In particular, the Japan market is not recovered to the pre-pandemic levels, and that's a big concern because they have been solid tourists for generations. So this year, I think it's a cause for concern. Certainly, everybody will be paying attention, but I don't think we'll see any dramatic changes. At the same time, the legislature may start looking at different ways to generate more revenue. There's a lot of talk. The governor is going to consider, again, some kind of impact fee to be charged to tourists. We may see other attempts by the legislature to generate revenue through different means. So it remains to be seen. I think 2025 in its legislative session will prove to be kind of a wait and see.
More to come.
More to come, for sure.
For sure. Let's turn our attention to the so-called bad bills and ways we will be fighting against the rollback of our rights. So last year, we saw a strong focus by some lawmakers to curb telework, which we successfully countered. Do you foresee any similar issues this year that we'll need to push back against?
It's hard to say. I think there are some legislators, and in particular in the Senate, that continue to raise question about remote work. And at the same time, we're seeing across the country, whether it's Amazon or Starbucks or elsewhere, where they're forcing more and more employees to be working in the building, so to speak. Beyond that, we're not anticipating any kind of attempt to roll back on employee rights. But there's always something. So we'll be vigilant. Certainly, we'll be paying attention. But at the moment, I don't think there's anything that we're particularly concerned about.
Is there anything else you would like to share with HG members as we start 2025?
Well, certainly I'd like to wish all of our members a very happy new year and the very best for 2025. I certainly hope that we will succeed in our continued push to try and get the state and the counties to move forward with improved and faster recruitment methods. And most certainly, we will continue our push, even on a job-by-job basis, to try to improve salaries. If the state and the counties don't improve their salary and benefit compensation packages, they will continue to fall farther and farther behind. We will continue to see record vacancy numbers. And it's all going to fall on the current workforce because they're going to continue to do more and more. And it's a major issue. It's more administrative, like I said earlier, than it is legislative. But most certainly, we're going to continue to press. And I think that's true for all 6 of the public sector unions. Across the board, we need to see a more competitive employer when it comes to pay and benefits.
Definitely. Well, mahalo, Randy. We appreciate you taking time to preview our work at the legislature. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah. Join the conversation, folks. In the comments, let us know what you hope lawmakers address this session. And we can't wait to see you back here at the negotiation table next month. Bye for now.